The day I decided to divorce Theodore G was my birthday. At the dinner table, I pretended to be joking and asked him if he loved me. Theodore G forced a smile. "You're in your 30s, why be so melodramatic?" I looked down and said nothing, glancing at the screenshot on my phone. In the chat background, Theodore G was kissing a woman passionately. In the dialogue box, Theodore G confessed affectionately to her, "I, Theodore G, have only ever loved you, Luna Jo." Looking up again, I asked Theodore G, "Can you give me a birthday present?" Theodore G replied quickly, "What do you want? Just name it." I quickly took off the ring on my finger, a new beginning. "Theodore G, let's get a divorce." Theodore G didn't react at first. He frowned slightly. He put down his cutlery and wiped his mouth slowly with a napkin. Then he looked up at me, sizing me up impatiently. "Clara, why have you become a different person?" I took a sip of juice. "What, don't we deserve romance? We've been married for 5 years. Is it that hard for you to say you love me?" Theodore G stood up and walked over to pat my shoulder. "Stop being silly. You know I'm not good at sweet talk. I heard you didn't win a project recently, so you're in a bad mood. I have a business fair in a few days, come with me to clear your head." I dodged his hand and continued, "I'll send you the divorce agreement once it's drafted." Theodore G lost his temper. "Clara, are you joking? You just got pregnant and now you want a divorce? Are your hormones out of balance?" Maybe my hormones were out of balance. I had always been mild-tempered. Even after years of working in business, I had always been gentle and never swore. But after getting pregnant, my temper seemed to have gotten worse. I stood up and threw my phone in front of him. "You're the one at fault. Don't provoke me, or it'll go to court and you'll look bad." On the phone were screenshots of Theodore G's chats with Luna Jo, sent to me by Luna Jo herself. In the chat background photo, among a group of teasing old classmates, she and Theodore G were kissing passionately. The text messages were Theodore G's heartfelt confessions to her. Broken up with interjections, they looked like voice-to-text transcripts. He said he had never forgotten her all these years. That marrying me because of his parents' wishes was the biggest regret of his life. That there was no turning back in life, but he, Theodore G, had only ever loved her, Luna Jo. Theodore G explained quickly when he saw the screenshots. "It was our class reunion that day, I got drunk. You know Luna Jo, she's always been reckless. She took my phone and edited those messages to send randomly." I laughed at his excuse, and the kiss was random too. Theodore G froze for a moment. Of course, I was really drunk and out of my mind. He pinched his brow. "Don't you know what kind of person I am? Don't worry, I won't go to any more reunions." "Yeah, I know exactly what kind of person you are," I said, opening my phone to check the divorce process my secretary had just sent. Theodore G smiled at my words. "That's my good wife. Happy birthday, I'll go check on the business fair." He grabbed his coat and walked toward the door. Just as he was about to leave, I spoke calmly. "Theodore G, you're a bastard who cheated on his wife while she was pregnant." Theodore G turned back in shock. "Clara, why are you being unreasonable? I told you I was Dr. I swallowed my prenatal vitamin and replied coldly, "Save that for the judge and see if he believes you." Theodore G told me to get some rest, then closed the door and left. I cut the birthday cake myself and took a small bite slowly. The cream triggered morning sickness, and I rushed to the bathroom and threw up violently. As I was feeling miserable, Mrs. Zong called. Mrs. Zong was a mentor who had helped me a lot. When I first started my own projects independently, she was my first investor. After she fully retired to focus on her family, she kept in close touch with me as I continued working in business after marriage. Especially since we were both pregnant recently, we often went for prenatal checkups together. Mrs. Zhang always said that looking at me was like looking at the version of her life she never chose. Now, looking at the messages she sent me, I almost laughed. What other version? When it came to husbands cheating after marriage, we were living the exact same plot. Obviously, hers was even more explosive than mine. In the photos Mrs. Zhang sent, a man and a woman were fooling around in a car. Their naked bodies were tangled together inseparably. I held back another wave of nausea and answered the phone. Mrs. Zhang was extremely agitated, her voice trembling with tears. I'm pregnant, and he's out sleeping with his mistress like an animal. I feel so sick I could throw up my intestines. I didn't know how to comfort her at first, so I talked about my own situation. Don't be scared. I'm going through the same thing. We'll handle it together. Mrs. Zhang exclaimed in shock. What? Gee. How could that be? Theodore G was known as a model husband in their circle. He went straight from work to home every day. Besides work, he only worked out. He had always been held up as a model of self-discipline. So it was no wonder Mrs. Long was shocked. But when I stayed silent, she quickly grew furious. Meet me at the hospital tomorrow morning. We're both getting abortions. I interrupted her immediately. No, Mrs. Zhang. I can go with you, but I'm not having an abortion. Hearing I didn't want to terminate the pregnancy, Mrs. Zhang's urge to gossip took over. Afraid we couldn't talk clearly on the phone, she invited me to tea and pastries in a few days. After hanging up, I rubbed my temples and lay down on the bed. Theodore G wasn't wrong. Pregnant women really needed proper rest. As I was resting with my eyes closed, my phone vibrated again. When I opened it, it was a message from Luna Zhou. We hadn't spoken a word since graduating university. But ever since she came back from abroad last month, our chat box had been blowing up. Now, message after long message poured in. Clara, I'm so sorry. The day before yesterday at the class reunion, I got drunk and took Theodore's phone. I accidentally hit the record button on your chat. Theodore was drunk too and said those silly things. Clara, we were both disoriented after drinking that day. You know how it was between him and me in university. At the reunion, we hugged, and the classmates teased us and took photos. After they sent them to me, I carelessly set them as my chat background. Clara, Theodore said you're having a baby, so I have to explain this to you clearly. We're really innocent. Please don't be mad. We'll apologize to you together some other day. What a long list of careless mistakes made while drunk. Accidentally voice to texting, setting a kissing photo as the background, and finally sending me the screenshot. After all these years, Luna Zhou hadn't changed one bit. Still putting on a weak, innocent act. While doing all the scheming things of a mistress. Luna Zhou had mentioned university. The three of us were classmates. My relationship with Theodore G had followed a cliché path. A wealthy family arranged marriage, childhood sweethearts. From primary school to high school, our families had arranged almost everything for us. Theodore G excelled all the way, and I chased after him every step of the way. Even at university, which our families couldn't arrange directly, we both tested into the same school, ranking first and second in the entrance scores. When we got our acceptance letters, old Master G brought Theodore G to my house. He said we should formalize our relationship and hold an engagement ceremony in a couple of years when we were older. Mrs. G joked at the time, university is full of little vultures who throw themselves at rich boys. We can't let them ruin their relationship. Theodore G talked back to his mother sharply, I only like Clara. I have to be blind to fall for someone else. All the adults laughed. He took my hand and ran to a quiet corner. I blushed deeply, and he kissed me for the first time. He said he would take good care of me and never betray me. Unexpectedly, in his first year of university, Theodore G had gone blind. He fell madly for Luna Zhou's persistent advances. I called them advances because Luna Zhou's style was never straightforward pursuit or secret seduction. It was persistent entanglement, creating coincidences then acting innocent to explain them away. She was my roommate. Theodore G and I were inseparable. The whole college knew we were a couple. But Luna Zhou always managed to create unique incidents with Theodore G at every turn. For example, on a field trip, she rode her shared bike straight into his. She fell and bruised her arms badly, cutting her forehead. Theodore G took her to the hospital. Afterward, she held my hand and explained, "Clara, don't misunderstand. We just went to the hospital, there's nothing between us." Another time, Theodore G and I formed a team for a student event, and she signed up as a volunteer. During the event, she knocked over the milk tea Theodore G had bought me. After soaking the event materials, she volunteered to reprint them. She dragged Theodore G to the print shop. When they came back, she said to me, "Clara, it was just printing materials. Don't overthink it." At first, Theodore G complained to me annoyingly about her. He said Luna Zhou was the most annoying girl he had ever met. But after a few more incidents like that, Theodore G changed. He started bringing 2 portions of things for me. "Your poor roommate Luna Zhou, she's having a hard time. Give her a portion." Later, he started calling her Luna, and Luna Zhou called him Theodore. On my birthday party during freshman year, Theodore G put his arm around her shoulder. In front of everyone, he said that both he and I now had a little sister named Luna. Luna Zhou smiled brightly. "Sister? Why not brother?" And then she said her usual line. "Clara, don't misunderstand. We're just sworn siblings." After being siblings for a while, Theodore G suddenly told me one day that his feelings for me had never been romantic love. After we broke up, Theodore G and Luna Zhou dated passionately for a while. But it ended when Luna Zhou went abroad with her supervisor. Old Master G beat him black and blue with a cane. Theodore G dragged his injured body and knelt outside my door all night. The rain soaked him until his wounds bled. When he fell unconscious in the hospital, he called my name over and over, begging for my forgiveness. My mother held me and persuaded me, "Clara, all men make mistakes. Don't stay angry with him." My father looked furious, calling me unreasonable for not letting Theodore G in, causing him to get soaked and hospitalized. In the end, I couldn't let go of the feelings we'd had since childhood. Following my parents' arrangement, I got engaged to him. Unexpectedly, now that Luna Zhou had appeared again, the 2 of them were going to repeat their old entanglement right in front of me. Mrs. Zhang chose a light, elegant tea restaurant. In the half-month we hadn't seen each other, both of us had been tangled up in new troubles. But she had dark circles under her eyes, messy hair, and disheveled clothes. I, however, looked calm, wearing a soft cashmere dress with a carefully matched Australian white pearl sweater chain. After taking a bite of the pastry, I swallowed my nutritional supplement. Mrs. Zhang finally couldn't help asking, "Clara, did I mishear you on the phone?" "Gee, cheating, that can't be true." I shook my head. "You heard me right." Mrs. Zhang looked confused. "Then I don't get it. I want to get an abortion right away." "What about you? Even after all this, are you going to have that dirty man's baby?" I gently held her hand calmly and asked her back. "Mrs. Zhang, we've known each other so long. From what you've seen, have I ever done anything without a plan?" Meeting Mrs. Zhang's probing gaze, I took out the prenuptial agreement the G family had promised me. The agreement stated that if either party cheated, all assets of the cheating party would go to the child. Mrs. Zhang looked impressed. "You old money types are different. Us nouveau riche could never think of something like that in a million years." I smiled bitterly. "It's all just interests, binding families deeply through marriage. After all, Wealthy arranged marriages feared instability like divorce, hence such a clause. But the agreement was actually cunning. The clause only took effect if a child was born. Yet once a woman had a child, especially an ordinary woman, she would rarely choose divorce. After 9 hard months of pregnancy, how could she bear to let the child grow up without a father? I thought of my mother. When my father fooled around outside in her younger years, she would come to me in tears whenever she felt wronged. Clara, I'm only staying married for you and your brothers. I don't want you to grow up without a father. Back then I was young, always furious. But now I was older, and saw things differently. I would not be an ordinary woman. Mrs. Zhang handed the agreement back to me, her face fallen. Clara, I don't have this kind of protection. I comforted her, think it over. This can't drag on, but it can't be settled in an instant either. Before I could finish, Empress Zhang interrupted me. Her emotions flared up again. I don't want to think about a filthy man like him. I'm not having his baby. I swallowed a shrimp dumpling and wiped my mouth. All right. If you've made up your mind, there's no time to waste. I'll go with you. We'll get the abortion today. On the way, we agreed she would get the abortion while I had my prenatal checkup. At the clinic door, a girl had just come out of the operating room, her face pale. Another squatted on the ground, hugging her knees, her head buried deep. When our numbers were finally called, Mrs. Bong gripped my sleeve tightly. She looked terrible, her hands trembling slightly. I whispered, "What's wrong? Don't you want to go in?" Mrs. Wang bit her lip and pulled me to the stairwell nearby. The stairwell was empty. She plopped down on a bench, covered her face, and cried quietly. I walked over and hugged her gently, soothing her softly. Don't hold it in. You can tell me anything. Mrs. Zhang leaned on my shoulder, her voice shaking. Clara, I'm so angry, I can't accept it. My body isn't fit for pregnancy. I don't know how. Many ovulation shots I took to have this baby. I never thought it would end like this. If it were you, could you bear to let it go? Besides, I haven't had my own income in a long time. Lao Zhang hollowed out my original company in these years. This baby is my only bargaining chip to keep him. Without Lao Zhang, what would I do? She rambled on a lot. I sighed deeply and dried her tears. That's better. You need time to think this through, not impulsively keep talking about abortion. Clara, you, Empress. Long looked up. You think abortion is that easy? I smiled. You need an appointment first. But people only clear their heads when pushed to the wall, so I encouraged you to come. Now that you're calm, we can plan carefully. Also, from today on, I don't want to call you Mrs. Long anymore. I'll call me Hazel. Hazel hugged me tightly. After calming down, we went for the prenatal checkup. Unexpectedly, just a few steps out of the elevator, we saw Theodore G. Theodore G was supporting a woman with a bleeding leg, waiting in line at the surgery department. Both were dressed in sportswear. The woman was wearing Theodore G's coat, yet it couldn't hide her curvy figure. It was Luna Zhou. Isn't that your G? Hazel's emotions, which had just settled, surged again. She stormed straight up to them. She grabbed Luna Zhou and slapped her hard across the face. Everyone looked at this homewrecker. At her shout, people quickly gathered around. Luna Zhou covered her face, tears spilling from her eyes. In the chaos, before Theodore G could say anything, a boy holding a bottle of mineral water ran over. Who are you calling a homewrecker? Quite the show. Who are you? Hazel asked the boy. I'm Gu Silas, a student of Professor Zhou. Professor Zhou is an outstanding talent. How dare you slander her? The boy was tall and strong, full of youthful energy. I had recently had someone look into Luna Zhou's situation after returning to China. She was working as a lecturer at a university. This boy must be her student. Outstanding talent. She's scum. He's a married man. What are they doing leaning so close? Hazel waved her finger between Theodore G and Luna Jo. At my infidelity scene, Hazel was more worked up than I was. The scene was almost comical. Ma'am, you've misunderstood. I couldn't stand on my own after getting hurt. I ran into an old classmate at the gym, and he kindly brought me to the hospital. Don't slander people without proof. Luna Jo cried, looking utterly wronged. Theodore G quickly pulled his hand away from supporting Luna Jo and snapped at the onlookers. It's just a misunderstanding. What are you looking at? Break it up. I sneered. Theodore G, you always say you're too busy to accompany me to my prenatal checkups. So this is where you've been. Theodore G walked over to me, concerned. I've been busy and stressed lately, so I've been going to the gym more. I ran into Luna Jo who was hurt. It really was an accident. Drunk last time, an accident this time. How convenient, I sneered, pointing to Luna Jo's clothes. That sports coat, I bought it for you. At my words, Theodore G yanked the coat back. Luna Jo was wearing a tight, crop top that revealed a lot of skin. She shivered suddenly from the cold. The boy named Gusilas quickly took off his own coat and wrapped it around her, unscrewed a bottle of water, and handed it to her. Professor, have some water and calm down. Luna Jo pushed the water away and came over to me, sniffling. Clara, we were roommates in college. Believe me, nothing really happened between us. Theodore just put his coat on me because I was cold. Professor, you don't need to explain. Truth will out. Gusilas pulled Luna Jo back. Theodore G took my hand. Clara, I'll go with you for the checkup. These three could put on a whole play. A wave of nausea hit me. No need. Stay here. I shook off his hand and pulled Hazel away quickly. Hazel muttered in relief as we walked. I didn't catch Jane's mistress red-handed, but slapping G's girl feels good enough. I could hardly laugh or cry. Hazel sighed. Clara, you're really so calm. Aren't you even angry? I already got angry. Now I just want to fix the problem, I sighed. Luna Jo showing up might be God saving me. Hazel, I've had enough of Theodore G a long time ago. At the beginning of my marriage to Theodore G, I was full of joy, thinking that despite the hiccups, I had walked from school uniform to wedding dress with the person I loved. I tried hard to nurture our relationship. Theodore G had a mild lung condition, so I made him pear soup to moisten his lungs all year round. He liked working out, so I went to the gym with him in my free time. But gradually, I realized something was wrong. When I was upset, he only bought me gifts, never asking why I was unhappy. When we exercised together at the gym, we never talked. He even pulled away when I tried to wipe his sweat. He wasn't like this before we got married. After breaking up with Luna Jo, he treated me desperately well, saying he wanted to make up for his mistakes. After marriage, he cooled down like an engine after a race. I suffered inwardly, unable to find the reason. In the middle of the night, when I broke down, I hugged him from behind and asked if I had done something wrong, if I could change. But he always said I was perfect, telling me not to overthink. Slowly, I grew disheartened. At business events, we played the loving couple. In private, we were like flatmates. Until some time ago, Theodore G held me and said, Clara, we should have a baby. Let's have a child of our own. My mother and mother-in-law had also been urging us to have kids. A faint hope rose in my heart again. Would things get better with a baby? Unexpectedly, I got pregnant before I even had the answer. And even more unexpectedly, Luna Jo dropped out of the blue at this exact moment. Theodore G said he was drunk, so he kissed Luna Jo. But I knew what he was like when drunk. He had gotten drunk countless times in business. Without exception, he remained calm and composed every time. So the second I saw the kissing photo, I knew the answer: our marriage was beyond repair. Theodore G's so-called drunken words woke me up completely. It turned out his actions before marriage weren't atonement, but trickery to get me to marry him. After marriage, he regretted marrying me because of his family. The journey from school uniform to wedding dress that I was so proud of wasn't worth a single toast with his unrequited love, Luna Jo. The night I received Luna Jo's screenshots, I stayed up all night, tears soaking my pillow. I regretted being a coward, struggling for so long in a rotten marriage. I was even more ashamed of my own stupidity for thinking a child could save my marriage. The child was completely innocent. In the end, I felt deeply grateful. Grateful that I had never given up my career. It was the greatest source of courage keeping me going. After leaving the hospital with Hazel, we talked some more. When I got home, Theodore G was already there. Clara, he walked over to hug me. I dodged quickly, disgusting. He withdrew his hand awkwardly and held out his phone to me. Clara, I know I shouldn't have had any contact with her. I never expected to run into her at the gym. We're old classmates, I couldn't just leave her be. You can check my phone, I've deleted all her contacts. We're strangers from now on. Then he pulled out a necklace with a sincere look. Don't be angry, it's bad for the baby. This is a rare blue diamond necklace I bid on. Let me put it on you. I said nothing. Theodore G led me to the mirror and sat me down, then fastened it around my neck. The blue diamond glowed clear and bright. Looking at his ingratiating eyes, I almost drifted back to that rainy night. When he was injured in the hospital, he held my hand just like this, begging for my forgiveness. I wouldn't fall for the same trick twice. Theodore G, cheap things like this I could buy a handful anytime. They're nothing special. I touched the necklace and spoke calmly. Theodore G had been leaning over, looking into the mirror. At my words, he slowly straightened up. His tone turned cold. Fine, I'll get you something better next time. But do watch yourself, don't get too close to that Mrs. John. She's lost her mind. She even hired a private detective to tail Mr. Zong a while back. You should be a good wife. You've always known how. In the mirror, his long legs flashed past. Then came the click of the door closing. After he left, I quickly pulled out my phone. The surveillance footage my secretary had found had already arrived. Theodore G told me not to hire private detectives like Hazel. As if I needed to go that far. He didn't know I already owned that gym. I was the landlady. Back at the hospital, I'd already told my secretary to pull the footage. In the video, Luna Jo walked into the gym with Du Silas behind her. She scanned the room, spotted Theodore G, and quickly stepped onto the treadmill next to his. She shifted seamlessly from covering her face in fake surprise to welling up with tears. Later, she went to a treadmill far away from him. As she kept turning to glance at Theodore G, she suddenly fell off the treadmill with a thud. Her calf was cut and bleeding. Du Silas rushed to help her. But Theodore G sprinted over, slapped Du Silas's hand away, and carried Luna Jo out in his arms. Luna Jo clung to him like an octopus. After watching the video, I had to admit Luna Jo was highly skilled. She played the male rivalry card perfectly. I called my secretary. Find me the contact of one of Luna Jo's students, Du Silas. After that falling out with Theodore G, he started staying out all night. I made appointments with a counselor for occasional emotional support. I told her everything. The counselor asked, Miss Xiao, have you ever heard of a compliance test? I nodded. I have. That was the only time I mocked his gift. He got upset and punished me to make me submit. The counselor smiled. You're very sharp, Miss Xiao. Truthfully, you mostly come here to talk. Your mental fortitude is excellent. Still, it's clear your calm and maturity were forged under pressure. A bitter feeling rose in me. I grew up being pressured by my family. Fortunately, I've been adjusting over the years. It's much better now. The counselor advised me. During this time, as long as you rest enough, keeping busy will help you step away from negative emotions. I agreed. I took her words to heart. I stayed so busy I had no time for sorrow. Days were filled with work. Nights, I helped Hazel pick projects and watched the gym videos my secretary carefully sent over. It was like following a TV drama. All those days Theodore G didn't come home. He still went to the gym every single day. And Luna Jo was there at the exact same time. Her leg recovered suspiciously fast. She showed up rain or shine, persistent as ever. Each time, she chose the equipment farthest from Theodore G. She still brought Gu Silas along. Gu Silas doted on her adjusting machines, handing her water and towels, attending to her every need. After years of marriage, I knew Theodore G too well. On the surface, he exercised calmly. But his mind was elsewhere. Especially when Luna Jo and Gu Silas laughed and chatted. Theodore G's movements turned stiff. And every time Luna Jo interacted with Gu Silas, she glanced at Theodore G from the corner of her eye. On this three-person stage, Luna Jo deliberately used another man to make Theodore G jealous. Theodore G fell for it, burning with envy. Only Gu Silas was completely clueless. Theodore G grew more and more distracted during workouts. Finally, one day, Luna Jo stopped bringing Gu Silas. She tried adjusting a machine on her own, clearly failing. She looked around, appearing helpless. Their eyes met. They stared at each other for a full minute. Then they walked toward each other at the same time. Theodore G helped her adjust the nearest machine. They exercised side by side. Not a single word was spoken the entire time. But I knew. The embers were about to reignite. After 2 full weeks of staying away, Theodore G called early one morning. "Clara, my business fair gala is in 3 days. I'll have the gift sent to the house. Get ready." I stared coldly and replied with just 2 words, "Not free." I hung up immediately. That night, I invited Hazel over. I wanted to go over the projects I'd shortlisted for her. I'd broken it down for her earlier. The top priorities were deciding whether to keep the baby and seizing control of her assets. I told Hazel to get a detailed list of all assets under Zhang Group. From them, I picked several unremarkable but high potential ones. By any means necessary, beg him, act pitiful. Once you get these, you'll have a decent shot at getting back in the game. Hazel marveled at my business sense and nodded repeatedly. She looked at my brief analysis report and suddenly spoke. "Clara, I didn't know whether to keep the baby before coming. Now I have my answer. I'm not keeping it." She choked up. "I can't keep living with a cheating man. If I'm leaving, my first priority is rebuilding my career. I'll be too busy to give the baby a good start. Besides, I'm not like you, Clara. You're rational, I'm dependent. I'm scared that if I have the baby, my whole life will revolve around it. Bad for me, bad for the baby." Hazel held my hand. "Now I understand why you're keeping yours. Your ability gives you all the confidence you need." I nodded. Parental love isn't just about giving birth, it's about lifting the child up. Truthfully, making Theodore G leave empty-handed is just punishment for him. My child will never lack money. I can provide full resources. Hazel asked, "Clara, have you thought about the father being absent?" I sipped some water. A child's healthy personality depends on upbringing. An unfit father and a repressed home are worse than none. A capable mother can provide a complete education on her own. Hazel's eyes reddened. She couldn't agree more. I clapped my hands and stood up. "All right, serious talk is over. Hazel, want to see something fun?" I laid out some healthy snacks and fresh juice. I played the latest gym video from my secretary. Hazel immediately switched to gossip mode. Theodore G looks like he's in a bad mood. I gave a thumbs up. Sharp eye, Hazel. I snapped at him this morning. He's probably fuming. Mad. He'll need to let it out. Where's his mistress? Right as Hazel spoke, Luna Zhou appeared. The two jogged side by side in silence. When they finished, Luna Zhou picked up her water bottle to drink, then put it back down and used. She'd forgotten to fill it. No water, no towel. She looked pitifully at Theodore G's bottle and towel. Hazel, this is her big move, I commented. Hazel snorted. What a massive cup of tea. Theodore G hesitated for a few seconds, as if fighting an internal battle. He finally handed her the water bottle. Then he slowly walked over to her, picked up the towel, and began wiping sweat from her forehead. Luna Zhou must have waited for this moment for a long time. She held his hand. Large tears rolled down her cheeks. She suddenly wrapped her arms around his waist and kissed him. Hazel, who'd been eating nuts, gaped like a stunned hamster. I started clicking the mouse wildly, taking screenshots one after another. Hazel tossed her nuts aside and demanded the gym address. Clara, what good are screenshots? In my experience, they're definitely gonna hook up tonight. Hazel quickly called her detective. Follow these two people now. At 9 o'clock that night, the detective sent a message. Theodore G and Luna Zhou had checked into a hotel. Hazel grabbed her coat and pulled me toward the door. Solid proof now. Come on, I'll take you to catch them in the act. I started walking, then stopped abruptly. Hazel, we don't need to go. I have a better candidate. Remember that boy at the hospital who swore Luna Zhou wasn't a mistress? I've had people look into their relationship. Luna Zhou had given Gu Silas all her research projects to do, then claimed most of the results as her own. The way Gu Silas looked at her went far beyond student admiration. Accompanying her to the gym many times in private proved their bond was unusual. I picked up my phone and called Luna Zhou's little watchdog. Hello, sorry to bother you, but I think you'll be very interested in what I have to say. At midnight, Iris. I've explosive material. First came a friend request. Gu Silas had found my WeChat via my phone number. As soon as I accepted, photos flooded the chat. All of them were candid shots of Theodore G and Luna Zhou in bed together. Gu Silas must have found some way to burst into their room. In the photos, Luna Zhou huddled under the covers. Theodore G wore a bathrobe. Used condoms lay scattered on the floor. The scenes were explicit and embarrassing. Gu Silas called me on voice. I'm sorry for being rude to you at the hospital. I just found out today how completely she deceived me. She used my love for her, exploited my work, said she loved me while messing around with your husband. He took a deep breath. Miss Xiao, I have to expose this woman's true face to everyone. I didn't say much and sent him a contact. The email address of the wife of Luna Zhou's former supervisor. I'd also had people look into it and found out Luna Zhou had little academic ability. During her years abroad, she'd published multiple papers only by clinging to her supervisor. She'd long been called an academic succubus in foreign circles, and was chased back to China by the supervisor's wife. She was a repeat offender. I called Theodore G and told him to come home that night. Theodore G agreed readily. Good to know you've come to your senses. I'll be home tonight. He thought I was backing down. When he got home, Theodore G looked exhausted. He was probably scrambling over Gu Silas bursting into the hotel room. I added fuel to the fire at just the right time. The coffee table was covered in photos. Theodore G, the evidence is more than enough, isn't it? His face burned with shame. He spoke hoarsely. You're not leaving any room for compromise, are you? I nodded. We'll get divorced tomorrow. You leave with nothing, the child is mine. From then on, we have nothing to do with each other. Theodore G lost his temper in a way I'd rarely seen. Xiao Clara, do you think you're somehow superior? Let me tell you, the affair wasn't all my fault. Look at yourself. Do you even act like a woman? Since we were little, you've always had to outdo me at every critical moment. In school, you always competed with me for first place, fine. But after we married, you still wouldn't settle down, throwing yourself into business and stealing all the spotlight. Now that our marriage is falling apart, all you care about is money. You're cold, like a robot. Do you know why I love Luna Show? She let me feel the passion of love. She made me feel a woman's dependence on a man. Theodore G completely lost his composure. After rambling on, he dropped heavily onto the sofa and held his forehead. I listened quietly until he finished. In the silence, I suddenly laughed. Theodore G stared at me, red-eyed. What are you laughing at? I shrugged. Laughing because I finally understand what impotent rage looks like. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him. I'd wasted enough time on him already. You can never wake someone who pretends to be asleep. I handed him the divorce agreement. Theodore G sneered at me. Good riddance to the marriage. I'll marry Luna Show right away. She's not cold like you. You can die alone with your money. Thanks for the blessing, I said calmly. Theodore G flew into a rage. He snatched the agreement, signed it without even looking. During the divorce cooling-off period, my father called me non-stop. Have you lost your mind? Getting divorced while pregnant. I listened quietly as he listed all the downsides of divorce. Damage to both families' reputations, potential property disputes, the breakdown of the family's tied interests. Not once did he consider my happiness. I didn't say much, only replied simply. Theodore G is about to be caught in a scandal. Divorcing protects the Xiao family. At the very least, Dad, whether to divorce is my marital freedom. I'll consider your opinion, but I won't let you control me anymore. Also, tell Mom not to come persuade me. It's useless. Growing up, I'd endured too much of my father's guidance. He taught me girls shouldn't be competitive. The most important thing was to marry well, be proper, low-key, and obedient. He gave all the group's work to my brothers and arranged a wealthy marriage for me. But now, facts had proven how absurd that thinking was. And my mother, she'd chosen not to divorce for the kids, struggling to maintain a peaceful facade. While living on thin ice, full of grievance. I refused that kind of life. My life, my child's life, we would define it ourselves. On the day we picked up our divorce certificates, Theodore G brought Luna Zhou. In front of him, Luna Zhou looked embarrassed. Clara, I told him not to do the paperwork today. He wouldn't listen, but when Theodore G stepped away to take a call, she turned to me, smug and triumphant. Xiao Clara, you lost to me in college, and you're losing now too. Thanks for taking care of Theodore all these years. A man this excellent is the best wife a woman could ask for. I watched her strut like a fighting cock without expression. After getting the certificate, I smiled at Luna Zhou before leaving. Wish you happiness. Your wedding gift is on the way. With that, I turned and left. At the same time, I sent a message to Gu Silas. Divorce and marriage are done. Wait for the right moment and release the news. After Hazel secured and settled her assets, she filed for divorce from her husband. Mr. Wang laughed at her, thinking she was just bluffing. Hazel told me she'd scheduled an abortion. I went with her on the day. Before entering the operating room, she touched her belly. Clara, I feel so sorry for this baby, but I have no other choice. I held her hand. We can only choose the best option available, right? Hazel nodded and went inside. Inside and outside the room. One life fading, another growing. Both embodied the courage to start over. News that Theodore G had been left with nothing began spreading. Online. Clearly, he hadn't told Luna Zhou about it. Instead, he hired online trolls to post about his upcoming new marriage to Luna Zhou, framing it as true love overcoming all obstacles. But his true love couldn't hold back. Luna Zhou called me, furious. Xiao Clara, have you no shame? One day as husband and wife, 100 days of grace, and you made him leave penniless. You set me up. I smiled and replied, this is only the beginning. People who do wrong will be watched by heaven. You'd better watch yourself. After hanging up, the #academic succubus blew up online. Someone detailed how Luna Zhou had stolen academic resources and exploited students for her publications over the years. A PowerPoint presentation also leaked, laying out thorough evidence of her repeatedly breaking up other people's marriages. That same day, Luna Zhou's university issued a statement announcing an investigation. Days later, the results came out. Claims verified, conduct violates professional ethics. Lecturer dismissed. In contrast, the earlier posts about true love looked utterly ridiculous. Meanwhile, someone dug up the news that I was pregnant, confirming Theodore G had cheated while his wife was expecting. G Group stock plummeted as a result. Theodore G had been a director. The group issued an emergency statement removing him. Competition among the G heirs was fierce. His older brother pushed the family to kick him out of management entirely. At that point, I blocked all contact with Luna Zhou and Theodore G. My belly grew bigger. When I was 8 months pregnant, I got an unknown call. I answered and heard a familiar voice. Clara, are you almost due? Can I come see you? I want to watch our child be born. It was Theodore G. Months had passed, and his voice sounded shockingly old. Before I could speak, he rushed to add, Clara, I divorced that lunatic Luna Zhou. Clara, I'm so sorry. Can you? I cut him off. Mr. G, what happens between you and your wife is none of my business. You're disgraced, your career is ruined. Look at yourself. My child has nothing to do with you. Take care of yourself. Don't call again. On the other end, Theodore G choked up. He couldn't say another word. Time passed quickly. My due date arrived. Hazel had been working non-stop on projects. But now she took leave and stayed at the birthing center with me every day. She leaned against my belly, listening to the baby move. Tears in her eyes. Clara, promise me this baby is yours, and mine too. I smiled and agreed, speaking to the baby inside me. Little troublemaker, look how much your godmother adores you. I'm scared she'll reach in and pull you out right now. On the day I gave birth, after a loud, clear cry, I officially received the most precious gift God had given me. In that moment, I was exhausted, yet full of strength. I whispered silently in my heart, may you have a clear mind and good health. May your soul be free and your kind nature stay true. May you fear nothing, follow your heart, and always move forward. The foundation of marriage is respect and loyalty, not compromise and self-deception. In the story, the heroine was betrayed during pregnancy. Instead of drowning in pain, she stayed sober, held her bottom line, and protected herself and her child with reason. She was not trapped by ideas such as endure for the kids or all men make mistakes, nor did she give up her career and independent personality. She finally walked out of the broken marriage and embraced a new life. This tells us, no matter who you are, you should never lose yourself in a relationship. Financial and mental independence is your true strength. When facing betrayal, stopping loss in time is better than struggling. Real happiness does not come from relying on others, but from the courage to choose your own life. Women should understand more clearly that tolerance cannot buy treasure, bottom line and dignity are worth guarding all the time.